Consumerism, Red here. Wanted to do a video today. I know I haven't done a video in a few weeks, and I'm sorry, but I've just been kind of thinking about really what I really want to talk about. And I saw a post on Facebook today that kind of struck me. It said that the 40-hour work week was originally set up for back in the day when the man would work 40 hours in the week, and the woman would stay at home, cook, clean, take care of the kids. And it was not designed for a dual salary or dual career household with kids. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, then it's not your fault. And I agree. And I shared that, and I got some people commenting on it and talking about stuff, and they're all in agreement, and they're like, "Oh, this is terrible." And I saw a friend of mine had posted a few days ago how, and this wasn't her words, she just shared this too, but between being impoverished, middle class, and being wealthy, she would rather be either impoverished or wealthy, not middle class, because when you're middle class, you don't get to have government assistance. You're always feeling like you're going paycheck to paycheck. You can never get caught up. You have to pay out of pocket at the doctor's office because you can't afford insurance. All this other stuff. But I didn't agree with that. Let me tell you why. I'm a huge advocate of sustainability and of financial responsibility, fiscal responsibility. And I feel like my generation and the generations before mine have been sold a bill of goods. And I'll tell you why. I think, and I'll probably get a lot of hate for this, but everything was pretty decent in the home up until World War II. And I think that when the majority of men in the United States and many other countries were overseas or in Europe or in the South Pacific fighting the Axis powers, and the women entered the workplace to not only take over normal careers but also build the bombs, tanks, and guns and ships that the Allies needed to fight the Axis. Well, when the war was over and the men returned to the workplace, a lot of the women didn't leave. And what happened was you had these empowered women that felt that it was their role now and their right to have careers alongside of men. And I'm not saying that women shouldn't be in the workplace. I'm not saying that at all. But when the women are working 60 plus hours a week and the men are working 60 plus hours a week, and they're sitting there spouting and shooting out kids the whole time, and they're not home to raise those kids, nobody is, and those kids are being raised by the public education system. They're being raised by daycare professionals. Those kids are being not taught how to be adults. All they're doing is being taught how to be the loudest and how to get what they want by being the squeaky wheel gets the grease and stuff like that. And what you're getting is a lot of adults that don't know how to adult. All they know how to do is ask and demand. I was told from a very, very young age that the key to success was to go to college after high school. I didn't do that. I joined the military instead, but that was just basically because of my parental units deciding to elevate my status from teenager to homeless adult as soon as I graduated. That's a whole nother story. I probably won't ever share that on YouTube, but point is that many kids, when they turn 18, they go to college and they put themselves in debt immediately. Many kids are told that you deserve to treat yourself and take care of yourself and live a comfortable life. So as soon as they get out of college, or assuming they graduate, They go into the workplace, whether it's in that career that they went to college for or another career or whatever, and the very first thing they do is they go down to the Dodge dealership and buy the nicest, newest car that they can. Maybe not be brand new, but maybe a few years old, or maybe 5 years old, 7 years old, or whatever vehicle. Get put on 24% APR, and now they got to pay off this car for the next 5 years of their life. These kids are getting put into living situations where they have to either have roommates, or if they don't want to have roommates, now they have to work 80 hours a week in order to afford the place that they live. And then, in my case, you have kids without being married to the person that you have kids with, and now you have that responsibility, and you don't have that support, I guess. Then on top of that, you also have kids that move away, again, guilty, move away from their parents, don't have the family support, and it's all on them to be independent, and they can't ask for help, they can't ask for financial advice as readily as if their parent was just down the street. So really what I have to say is that we need to break that generational gap. We ourselves as adults need to start living more sustainable lives, not built on consumerism. And hey, I'm guilty. If you could see the inside of my fifth wheel right now, you'd see it's littered full of stuff. And I'm considering buying an old reefer trailer, taking the landing gear off of it, and using it as a storage unit, just so I can put my stuff into a place that I don't have to look at it every day. So I'm just as guilty as everybody else, really. I mean, I'm probably one of the most guilty people out there for not living a sustainable life. The problem is that this is Shit It's the Fan channel on YouTube, and when you aren't living a sustainable life, no matter how many guns and ammo and MREs and bug out bags and stuff that you have, if you don't have a sustainable life, and the crap hits the fan, whether it's a national disaster, state disaster, or just a personal disaster like I had last year, it really opened up my eyes. If you aren't living a sustainable life, then you're going to be in a world of hurt. I am extremely lucky that I had what I had last year. I had this fifth wheel that was paid off. I had my quarter-acre land here that was paid off. I was already set up to be off-grid, so I didn't have any utilities. My only expenses was my cell phone and the gas in my pickup and food. That was my only expenses. And if it hadn't been for that, I don't know what I would have done last year, to be completely honest with you. Yet last year being the year of COVID-19, and it being almost impossible to find a decent paying job. So what I recommend is for each and every one of you watching this, try to cut down on your consumerism, try to cut down on your debt. I know it's hard. I know some of us like to buy expensive guns. Some of us like, to buy expensive coffee. Some of us like to buy, toys and bullshit for our kids, anytime they ask, or anytime the school asks us to. But I ask that you cut down on it. If you are living in a rental, try to get out from underneath that rental. Or in the very least, there is inexpensive land out there. Try to find a cheap, small little chunk of land somewhere. I don't care if it's in your parents' backyard, and whether you build a tiny home on it or you park a camper on it or something, have a fallback plan for just in case something ever happens and you lose your job. Something that you figured would never happen. You lost your job, can't find another one. Rather than being homeless and putting your family through that, at least you have a place. You have a backup plan. I'm not asking any of us or any of y'all to go out and buy a mortgage or get a mortgage go buy 10 acres somewhere. That's my goal. I want to eventually own around or over 10 acres. Maybe, later in life I can get larger than that. But that's my goal, because back in the day, in the Middle Ages, the average peasant, landowning peasant, owned 10 acres. Now, European 10 acres versus American 10 acres is different. It's more like 6 to 8 American acres versus the medieval European 10 acres. But I feel like having 10 acres, having the equipment, the vehicles, the tools to utilize those 10 acres for growing of food. I'm working on getting set up to being able to have a small business if I wanted to. If something ever happened to my job at the plant that I work at, I would have the security blanket of having all the tools and equipment, vehicles, and the ability, the skill set to have my own business. And I could just walk from that job to this one, and it'd be no big deal, and not have to worry about where my next paycheck's coming from, because my next paycheck is coming from me. That's my advice for everyone, is just try to get away from this consumer ideology and I want this versus this is what you need. It's crazy how there's a lot of immigrants that come over from overseas, and they grind for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and they might have 10 people all living in one house, but by God, one of them owns that house, and the rest don't have to pay rent, and they sit there and just compile money and experience and meet people and get good connections, and then after 10, 15 years, all of a sudden they own a whole chain of convenience stores or restaurants, or they have multiple successful businesses. And I think in the American ideology is we're told, go to school, go to college, and then go work for somebody. And trying to be an entrepreneur, the successful ones are admired, but in my experience, anytime I've ever talked to anybody about opening up my own small business and not working for the man anymore, it's met with, well, you have kids, Red. Aren't you worried about making sure that they're taken care of? Well, of course I am. And that's why I think it's important for me to work on doing that. I'm not telling any of y'all to go quit your day job right now and start selling t-shirts or whatever. I'm talking about a sustainable job, something that if the world was to end, there was to be a collapse scenario, nobody's going to be buying t-shirts. Nobody's going to be wanting these consumable things anymore. They're going to need tradesmen. They're going to need plumbers, welders, mechanics, carpenters, engineers, medical personnel. And yes, it is possible to start your own medical small business. There's all kinds of nursing agencies out there, and my girlfriend, she's a part of a couple, I think. Those are small businesses, and it's extremely possible to get into that. So, sorry, this is kind of a rant, kind of a long video. We're kind of ding, 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 ding all over the place, but sustainability. Find a small chunk of land somewhere, put a building on it. I don't care if you want to go live in your $200,000 house that you're paying this mortgage on, that's 17 APR or whatever. I don't care. If you want to do that, feel free. But at least have something on the back burner back here, so that if this $200,000 house doesn't work out, you got this over here. Even if it pisses off the wife, even if it annoys the kids, have that backup plan. Because I'll tell you what, it's the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen, and dragging the wife and kids out into the forest somewhere, living out of your bug out bags, it's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now. You're setting yourself up for failure. Have a sustainable plan. Work on getting your life, your daily life, set up sustainably. Stop being a consumer. Start being a producer. Y'all, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Subscribe if you have any questions, concerns. You want to rip on me, burn me, that's fine. Throw them in the comments. Thanks.